Hello and welcome to Inside Tennessee Football's practice facility on a rainy day here in Knoxville. I'm Ryan Sylvia. This is Noah Taylor. We are with VolReport.com on the Rivals Network. And as we are getting closer and closer and closer to kicking off this season, today we talked with running back coach Jerry Mack, linebacker coach Brian Jean-Marie, and then players Ramel Keaton, tight end Jacob Warren, and defensive lineman Amari Thomas. So we're going to jump right into our biggest takeaways from what we heard from them today. Noah, what was your biggest takeaway from what the coaches had to say?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, and not to, I guess, go too much on it, but one of the things that jumped out about that depth chart that we got yesterday was Cam Selden being an or on kick return. Mm-hmm. And a guy that's a freshman that has kind of come on. Running back position's a little bit new to him. You know, in the spring, he was a receiver in high school. Well, we got a little bit more insight on that today because somebody asked Jerry Mack. Obviously, he sees Cam Selden a lot in that running back room and talked about one reason he was picked for that kick return position and has a chance to see the field there is, you know, he's a big guy for one. He's not afraid to make contact. That's a position where, like he said, guys are running at you full speed. It says a lot about him that they're putting a freshman in that position, but they said run through the smoke is a saying around the program in that running back's room, and they said he kind of lives up to that. He's a guy that's not afraid to make contact, run at guys, run through guys. And, you know, playing receiver in high school has helped his ability to catch the ball, which is something you need to do, obviously, as well as a kick returner. So, yeah, a guy that, you know, yesterday kind of jumped off the page on that depth chart, and today Jerry Mack kind of gave us some insight as to why he's in that position.
Yeah, on the other side of the ball, I'll talk about Coach BJ's comments, talking about the linebacker room. One of the rare situations on the depth chart where there wasn't an or for either of the starters. Obviously, Aaron Beasley and Keenan Peely going to be those two guys to start those games. But you still need a healthy rotation on the defensive end. And so he was asked about that rotation. He said, we want guys that are able to go 100% for each play. And if you're not able to give that 100%, then obviously you need to get off the field and take a rest for a play or two and get relieved and kind of keep that rotation going. Well, a guy that's going to be in that rotation to help give guys some breaks is Arian Carter, a freshman who was recruited as a running back at first, transitioned over to linebacker, so obviously a very athletic player. Yeah. And Coach BJ talked all offseason, and players have talked all offseason about how well he's done, and that continued today about kind of the ability that he has as a freshman to come in these kind of relief situations and make a big impact, even though he'll be in his first year. So Arian Carter's praises continue to be sang, and that's definitely a good sign for the freshman going forward. But let's talk about the players. What was your biggest takeaway from what the players had to say today? Yeah,
we got to hear from Jacob Warren, who's always a good interview, a guy that's been in this program a long time, played a lot of football, and you're really expecting him to lead that tight end room this year. But he talked about McCullen Castles, and he was asked about the 1-2 punch he kind of provided last year with Princeton Fant. And Princeton Fant was such a huge asset to this offense beyond being a tight end. You know, they lined him up in different positions. He was throwing touchdowns. He was running in touchdowns, 2-point conversions. And he was asked, what's that duo like now with McCullen Castles? And he said they're very similar. Their skill set's very similar. That McCullen Castles is a very athletic guy, that this year you're going to see him running some similar packages that Princeton Fant did. Maybe see him throwing the ball around a little bit. That's really exciting to kind of get, because that was a wrinkle in this Josh Heupel offense a year ago, and so on some of those 2-point conversions as well that you could run out there. So, you know, something interesting to keep an eye on out when see where he lines up in those situations.
Yeah, I'll also talk about something that Jacob Warren said, and also a situation where he's talking about another player on the team. But offensive tackle John Campbell, a guy that's expected to be a starter this year, was listed as an or, but I think that a lot of people, including ourselves, expect him to be that first tackle on the field for Tennessee. He said he was talking to him one day, situation where he needed to give him a ride somewhere, and he asked John Campbell, hey, why did you pick Tennessee? And I thought that answer was very interesting, as Campbell talked about, well, not only is the program in a good spot, he saw all the winning that they did last year, but apparently everything he's heard leading into his decision was how much fun it is to play at Tennessee and kind of how much of a family culture it is. It's all cliche, but it does go a long way, especially compared to some other coaching staffs around the country. So I thought that was an interesting answer that kind of gives you an insight into why Tennessee is appealing to these incoming transfers or these freshmen that have to make that big decision where they can pick essentially any college in the country. Even though they're not from Tennessee or from the area, they still are finding themselves coming to Knoxville. So I thought that was really interesting as well. That'll do it all for us today. We'll be back on Thursday when we talk to head coach Josh Heupel. That'll be the last media availability before we get this thing officially started. We'll be in Nashville on Saturday, boots on the ground, We have you covered over at VolReport.com. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel right here to stay up to date on all of our video content. On Thursday, we have a great interview with Brad Franklin of CavsCorner.com on the Rivals Network, of course, Virginia's site. As we kind of preview that game this Saturday, he gives you the insight you'll need into what UVA looks like heading into the game. Links to everything are in the description. Thank you for watching.